Mark Cuban, Shark Tank investor, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, founder of Broadcast.com, an entrepreneur worth over $4 billion. So how did Mark Cuban build his businesses and make his money? Let's find out. So before he bought the Mavericks or was on Shark Tank, how did Mark Cuban get rich? Mark Cuban grew up curious about business and entrepreneurship. Born and raised in a working class family in Pittsburgh, he started his first business at age 12 by selling garbage bags door to door. And at 16, Mark would hustle selling newspapers. Then he attended Indiana University and got a degree in business. Mark had various jobs until he became a salesman at a company called Your Business Software. After work, he would take software manuals home and read them. Mark was obsessed with learning and growing. That sales job only lasted him less than a year because one day Mark chose to meet with a client to close a sale rather than listen to his boss's demands to open the shop. So instead of looking for another job, Mark decided it was time to launch his own business. Mark said the best investment he made during that season of life was in himself. The reality is, most people don't put in the time to keep up. That's always given me a competitive advantage. The first business Mark founded was Micro Solutions, a software reseller and consulting firm. Mark believed that he could build his company far better than his former employer, which fired him. Mark always believed that execution is far more powerful than ideation. He would learn from previous tech advances in companies, then apply those lessons and take massive action in his business. Cuban said, everything is a remix. If you look at the early days of Apple, they copied so much of what Xerox and Bell Labs did. And then they just extended it a little bit in a way that they thought customers would want. And that's the way that I look at things. You know, if I look at existing technologies, I say, okay, what applications can take place that aren't being done now? With this in mind, he was able to build Micro Solutions. By 1990, Micro Solutions had raked in $30 million. And Mark sold Micro Solutions to CompuServe for $6 million. After his success with Micro Solutions, Cuban decided to take a break in the business. Then a friend introduced him to Cameron Jaeb, who founded Cameron Audio Networks. This small network would broadcast out-of-town sporting events. Mark was a huge basketball fan and he became intrigued by the company. So he agreed to invest $10,000 in exchange for 2% of the business, which was valued at $500,000 at the time. Eventually, Cuban offered to buy the company. In September 1995, Mark changed the company's name to AudioNet. Then in 1998, he changed the name again to Broadcast.com. In 1999, Yahoo offered to buy the business for $5.7 billion. This acquisition is actually now considered one of the worst ever, as Yahoo ended up shutting down its service in 2002. Yet with the sale, Mark Cuban became a billionaire. In January 2000, Mark spent $285 million to buy the Dallas Mavericks. Previously, Mark wasn't trying to invest in the team, but he was so passionate about basketball, and while attending a game one day, he realized that it was possible for him to buy them. Before Mark's purchase, the Mavericks won barely 40% of their games, but in the decades since, the Mavericks have won 69% of their games and even won an NBA championship in 2011. According to Forbes magazine, the Mavericks are worth about $2.3 billion, more than 10 times Mark's original investment. In 2011, Mark made his debut on the show Shark Tank. In the last decade, this show's ratings and audience has skyrocketed, and Shark Tank has inspired many entrepreneurs like me and you. So far, Mark has made nearly 100 deals and invested about $40 million on the show. So that's how Mark Cuban went from a teenage boy selling garbage bags to being everyone's favorite billionaire on Shark Tank. As I was researching Mark's life, both reading articles and watching videos, here are some of the main lessons that I learned from Mark's story. First, look for opportunities. Mark found a unique opportunity for Broadcast.com. He created a product that he knew would be valuable for his customers, and he executed. He created a product that he knew would be valuable for customers, and one that he was interested in. Mark's previous risks, his failures, his growth, led him to this business opportunity that made him a billionaire. So he found that right opportunity. Also, in business, the key is executing and executing well. You can start learning from other companies, you can find ideas, you can improve your products and services, But a vision without execution is worthless. You need to take action. Most importantly, learn everything there is to know about the business you are trying to grow. Work hard and don't quit. As Mark Cuban said, sweat equity is the most valuable equity. Know your business and industry better than anyone in the world. If you want to succeed, you need to learn, and execute. I hope you're inspired by Mark Cuban's story. Check out some of the other videos on my channel about other leaders and how they built their wealth.